What's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome back to another office hours session. And as you can see, I am super late. And as you can see by the title of this particular podcast, Office Hours, I am not discussing coding reviews. I am actually discussing work life balance. And it kind of is like really pressing on my mind today because of essentially what happened from the time when I thought I was going to start the stream to where I'm starting to stream now. So, yeah, I kind of want to discuss that because it's super pressing on my head today. And this will be the last office hours until next time. All right. So, let's get into this. So, the reason why I was late is because essentially the family was more important than starting the stream. Just put it plain and simple. And, and this kind of goes into a little bit like work life balance and how I prioritize things. So what happened was is that I needed to watch my kids instead of do the stream because there was something that my wife really wanted to go to. And I appreciate my wife in so many different ways because she is more of the life where I am more of the work. And where I would find myself continuously working without even thinking about it, she will draw me out of that world and put me into the life side of things. Hey, this is life over here. And how I kind of like, you know, help me with that is knowing what my priorities are, and if something was to come up in the different priority sections, like just say, you know, families first, then there's actually let me restate that. I'm first, then family. I'm gonna revisit this. Then family, and within families like wife, kids, and then intermediate family. Then there's other stuff like work, projects, coding projects, and all this stuff. The reason why I say I'm first, and people might like, yo, why? Why you put yourself first? I think everyone should put themselves first. You should put yourself first as far as health. You should put yourself first in regards to making sure you're financial stable and all that stuff before you help anyone out, right? Like people don't really think about this sometimes, but it's not selfish to say you need to be good before you help anyone else. So I can't help my family. I can help them out fully and at the capacity that I need to help them at if I'm not at the capacity to help them. And this could be like health related, or this could be financial related, or it could be anything really like emotionally related. So if I'm not at the capacity to help them because those capacity limits have been reached and I'm like struggling in that area, then I'm not able to help them. So yeah, that's why I say put yourself first in regards to that. So make sure your mind is right, make sure your body is right, make sure your finances are right before you be able to help anyone else. Now, going to the family part. So, like I said, wife goes first, children comes first. After that, and the reason I say children comes wife comes first is because she's my wife. Like, if I'm not taking care of her, then she's not able to take care of the kids. So I need to make sure she's right. Just just uh just a way of things. Like, kids aren't able to help out their moms at this present moment. They're young. They're 5 and almost 2 years old. But soon, in the near future, or maybe later on down the line, they might be able to help them out little by little, taking on tasks that she doesn't have to do and she can focus on other things. And still going into the topic of work life balance. I'm just telling you my priorities. Cool. So, and actually, to discuss that, so one of the things that happened tonight was my wife went to a concert, and I for either, yeah, essentially it was a last minute concert. It was an artist that she really likes, and it was in town today. And I was like, we pretty much just like all ages and everything, but it was going to be super late for the kids. So I was like, nah, I think you should go by yourself. You can do it. Now, why would I do that? And to discuss why, it's like going into, hey, this is me taking care of my wife. So she takes care of the kids throughout the whole entire day. She's been doing this consistently for months. She does homeschooling. She makes sure we have clean clothes because I surely do not wash clothes. I could, I know how, but she just has the awesome time management skills to do that. So she does that. And this is me, even though I really wanted to do this work, I wanted to do this stream at this particular time, I gave her exactly what she wanted in that present moment, even though it was short notice, like literally within like 45 minutes of the concert. Or um yeah, it's not really a concert, but it's like a, I guess like a gig or a show. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know the terminology, but I mean, it's not really a concert, but I guess like a show, a performance, like 45 minutes before the performance. There's the word. So this is me taking care of her, and hopefully she said she enjoyed her time, and that's awesome. Now I'm able to do exactly what I need to do, even though it's late night. I'm about to go to sleep right after this stream, even though I want to get some more work in. It's just a matter of the fact. So yeah, so I did that. She did that. She enjoyed herself. This is probably gonna help her mentally. This is giving her some time away from the kids and be able to, do grown things with other grown people and not deal with kids that are still in the realms of learning how to control their emotions and be able to communicate properly and so on. She's able to do that without any of distractions from that. Freedom. Freedom of 2 or 3 hours of that. Roughly 2 hours, maybe three, 2.5. We could say that. So she had a nice break. We actually had an awesome break this past weekend in a sense, because kids are still on you, but we had an awesome graduation celebration for one of our cousins. So we went up to Dallas and hung out with her and the family. Did some awesome things such as horseback riding because they love horses. Kids love horses. rode on the horses, took care of the horses, fed the horses, gave them water, like learning all of those awesome things that you will, do to take care of and maintain an animal of that size and stature. And and like I said, it's like this is going back to like family kind of thing. Like going to that graduation, I think that was more important than work. It's like you don't get a chance to do these things all the time. People don't graduate often. It's like you probably have a couple of family relatives that do it maybe consistently throughout the year if you have a huge family. But sometimes if you have like, one in your family or two or three, then they might not be close in age. You have to wait like 4 years or something like that. But it's like that is a big step, a huge milestone that you don't ultimately want to miss. And like this is, we took pictures and videos, and these things are gonna last for a lifetime. Memories are really, really important to have. Experiences are more important than what you did for work. You might, because I sometimes I don't even remember what I did for work like 2 or 3 or 4 years ago. Like, I can't tell you the specifics. I can tell you how I felt when I hung out with a family relative or we did something with family. I think it says a lot. So yeah, and that's why I kind of say pretty much not kind of say, but I say family comes before work, before anything else, right? Like a job tries to put an ultimatum on me, it's an easy decision. Like it's easy. So yeah, and as in recently, and then the reason why I canceled the podcast earlier this week, Monday, pretty much, is because I was essentially really exhausted and just tired from the whole entire trip. So yeah, was going to be effective for anyone in that present moment. So took that day off. Took that day off. Once again, can't take care of no one if I'm not taken care of. But came back refreshed, like really good, and hit the ground running that day. Like knocked out 3 peer reviews of developers' work in like less than a certain amount of minutes because either I did them already and I was like, oh, I did this already. Someone else needs to move into their status that they need to. The developer needs to move into the status when they need to, and gave some few feedbacks on one of them that was relatively new for this particular sprint. And yeah, it's like when your mind is right, you're fully rested, your body's good, you perform good, you perform better. And that's why, like I told you, it's like my wife takes me out of that work world. I would stay in that work world if it wasn't for my wife. Like, yeah, I would continuously work. And yeah, I kind of had like a vlog that kind of discussed this. You guys should check it out. But it's in my vlog for the software engineer journal entries. The vlog, that playlist. Stroll through that playlist, find the one dealing with work life balance, and click on that. Pretty much it describes exactly who I am as a person when it comes to work life balance and my struggles with understanding how to get out of that realms of work and get into some life stuff. Because my thought process behind it, and I kind of discussed this with one of my homies on a podcast, is that my delay in gratification is like, it tells me, all right, I didn't meet this particular goal yet, so I don't need to stop. I don't stop. I keep going till I meet that goal. Like, I don't think about anything else. And sometimes it's like, it's a session at some point. It's like, didn't meet it yet, can't take care of myself. And yeah, even though I know my priority should be taking care of myself, I know that. But it's like, it gets into tunnel vision sometimes, straight tunnel vision. Like as of recently, with the application I'm building and the website I'm building, like I'm literally not finished with this website. Like I finished partial of the application, but I have like roughly 7 days. I'm trying to finish this out so I don't have to worry about it next week because I have some other life stuff that's coming up. And yeah, that's gonna be really important. So yeah, I want to create these amazing experiences, so I need to get finished with it. And that's my way of saying, hey, this is how you celebrate and get out of this world of work. You get out of it by meeting that goal or meeting those goals, and you can get out of it. So I have a goal. There's goals actually I'm trying to achieve with this particular app I'm trying to launch. And if I don't meet those goals, the only thing I can think of in the back of my head is I need to do this, and that. If I didn't do this, and that, that's all I can think about. And then I might be working during this huge life event that's happening for a friend of mine's, and that's supposed to be creating memories and all these things. But then my mind's somewhere else. Don't want to be that. Don't want to be do that. But sometimes that's just nature of the beast that's fighting inside me. So yeah, I am more likely gonna achieve the goal that I sent out by before the end of this month. But as you can see, this the reason why I'm cutting out the office hours is because of that. I'm trying to finish it. And sometimes it takes a little bit of research of what I want to discuss on the office hours, but sometimes it doesn't. It's like usually, I'm just giving you the experiences that I experience as a developer, as a staff engineer, and as a solution architect, Salesforce engineer. I'm giving you my experiences, and if I can, just talk on that, tell you a story about how I went about these particular processes and went about this journey, then that's awesome. And I can provide you that experience. So, to continue on the topic of work life, is I think setting boundaries is very important. Setting boundaries for yourself, setting boundaries for other people is going to be so vital with your career. It's going to assist in a whole bunch of aspects in your life. And I say for the last 4 years, I definitely been setting boundaries for myself and for other people. And the ways I set boundaries is saying, hey, this is when I'm done working at this particular time for a job. If I do need to work more, it's not because I have to, it's because I want to. and that's it. And if I do it, then this is my reward: rest and time to do other things I need to do outside of work. That's how I deal with that. So utilize PTO as much as possible when you can, because that's what it's for. And it's pretty interesting and to explore how different countries do different things. In the US, this is, hustle culture, continue to work kind of culture. Even in cultures like over in Asia, it's like um it was something someone it was a particular video in Japan. Oh, yes, it was this YouTuber, and he was saying that Japan is notorious for people who take naps. And if you take naps, it's because you consider hardworking. And people take naps in so many different ways over in Japan. They even have nap pods in Japan so that people can take naps. It's like napping is a huge structure, huge part of their culture because naps are needed in order to be really, effective, right? So people take naps, take naps in the middle of the day so they can recharge, so they continue to be effective for the rest of the work day that they're working on. And yeah, um, and then you also have like a situation where I saw a while back where this particular father who's a doctor and he was like working crazy hours. He was just getting off the elevator, so like worn from how he was walking. And what happened was is that he collapsed because of exhaustion. And it was pretty crazy how that happened. It's like what pushes a person to work that hard to not sleep? It's because there wasn't a particular boundary that was set for himself. Maybe it wasn't a boundary in the workplace, and he thought the expectation was him to continue to work for us with no sleep. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure of what was the outcome or the reason behind it, but it was pretty crazy that happened because he collapsed because of exhaustion. It just, put a lot of things into perspective of how I should set boundaries. And that's the reason why I should set boundaries because ultimately the workplace is going to allow me to do whatever I need to do to get to work because they want me to put the work in. And if you can put a lot of work in within a short period of time, um, then they like that. But people negate the power of rest. And I see it countless and plenty of times that people who get rest and come back and tackle the issue, they either find the issue like way faster, or the decision making is way better. And there's a lot of neglecting rest in order to, you know, get something done. But sometimes you gotta step away. You gotta set that boundary. And this kind of goes into like the social pressure. So depends on like how the work culture is. And this is why the illusion of like work life balance is more work rather than life. Then if you're working, what's the point of working? Is so that you can live life. So if you're working more than you live in life, then what are you really ultimately working for? because collecting money is cool and all, but if you're not doing anything with that money to build that life that you ultimately want in the future or right now or a combination of both, then what's the point? So social pressures, tell you, hey, you need to work late night. Social pressures tell you that you didn't get this done, so you need to figure it out. So you need to work late at night. And the way I kind of counteract this is that there's there's always something that needs to get done. There's something always high priority. There's something always critical. And you can bite size everything little by little to figure out that issue. But essentially, it will get done. It can get done if you choose to set bound, and it can still get done without working late nights. It can still get done when working within a work day, as you setting yourself up to say, hey, I'm trying to get this done. This is high priority. No one disturb me between this time because this is all I'm working on. This is all I'm focusing on. I'm getting help from so and so because he's knowledgeable or she is knowledgeable about so and so. So this is all I'm focusing on. So much social pressure in the workplace, and people people say this term voluntold. I think the best thing to do is not to say anything. If you ultimately don't have time, you already have a full workload, then don't say nothing. But if someone did tell or volunteer you, then say, these things are pressing on my plate. See if another team member can do it. If not, then see how this can be either pushed back or something, because now all the teams are at capacity. And if these things don't come through, it's like, what do you do? Or because sometimes things can be dropped. Forget the stories that you were working on. This is now the high priority. All right, cool. Now I'm gonna try to work on it, right? I'm going to do the best I can, but I'm not working late night to finish this thing. Like there's this thing in regards to SOW. And I forgot exactly what it means, but let me see if I can pull it up. But essentially, what SOW means is that, hey, this is the state. Oh no, statement of work. That's what it means. Statement of work, meaning that, hey, you work between this time and you work between this time. Your scope for the project is this. Your scope doesn't include this. So you know exactly what you need to do and what time that you can do things in, right? There might be some certain clauses in there, but if SOWs are like really like you know looked at and defined really well, more than likely you're not working late nights for SOW. Uh, and it's very few moments on that. But it could possibly be sometimes. And I would ask if you are not familiar with like that type of scope or the timelines in which you should be doing things and based off of critical criticality of things, then you should ask about those things when those particular issues do come up if you don't know. Because yeah, um project managers, delivery leads, like they will pretty much they're asking for a certain thing, and if you tell them it's going to be done in this particular timeline, they expect it to be done in this timeline. So, like in software, sometimes things come up. You never know what might cause an issue to slow this particular work or this particular story not to get done. But communicating and being honest, transparent, and seeking out for answers and help is very important when the particular moment gets done, when that story is not able to get delivered on time. So important. Don't be afraid. And this is because usually with social pressures, people typically think, oh, this person can get it done in this particular so and so time. But if that particular person is not available and they also have a critical thing that they're working on, and you're working on the other critical thing, then they can't attack it then. So yeah, you shouldn't be expecting to work at the same level or same type of capacity as someone else. You should try to work in as efficient at your own particular capacity. Because what goes wrong is that you burn out. You don't want to burn out in doing work. And this is why I tell this is why I advocate for people to, you know, speak up and not be voluntold in the sense of things, and advocate for themselves. And I try to advocate for the people that I work with. So yeah, um, because at the end of the day, it's ultimately about the quality of what you're putting out. And I would rather you have quality of like one or two stories, or maybe one within a sprint, than do five or like eight stories, and you have to get a call back later on within another release or another sprint because of bugs in regards to a previous sprint for another previous release. um is causing issues of all those 10 things. Then everyone gets swamped with all those things that you worked on. That's gonna suck. So yeah, don't be pre-pressured. Someone calls your name, say currently working on things, currently at capacity. That's that's the truth. Know how much work that you actually have. It was gonna be really helpful. If you can assist, then assist, but don't overextend yourself, because there's always an expectation of all developers that are working on a particular project that might not be developer or technical inclined to know how much time does it take to make sure a particular thing is at highest quality to push through up to the customer. Because testing is one thing, but there's little small things that can happen that we need to test the negative and the positive cases of things to make sure it works in all aspects of how this functionality should work. Even if things aren't, thought about within this particular store to get done, it's gonna come back later in the bug, and you know it, and you've seen it, and you're developing it. So you should develop it through and ask those questions, because yeah, you want to put out the highest quality product as much as possible. It's pretty much cutting point. It's like, yeah, cutting point, plain and simple. Quality is really more important than quantity. So set those boundaries. Don't be peer pressured. Social pressure would not, if shouldn't affect you. Shouldn't affect you. And don't feel guilty for taking PTO. If you got something that you're really interested in, then do those things. because ultimately those things are going to refresh you to think even better than you were when you were consistently working throughout the year. I believe in like small incremental breaks throughout the year rather than a huge break towards the end or the beginning or the middle of the year, because those breaks are so essential to your overall like mental health, like mind. And it's so vital, so vital. So yeah, um, yep. And I kind of discussed this a little bit. There's a one topic that I went over is like overwhelm, workloads, and stuff. And someone put it really very simply to me, and I really liked it, and I really appreciate it. That hey, speak up about feeling overwhelmed, feeling burnt out personally from your work, and not being able to keep up. Hey, speak up about that. It's it's nothing it's, it's nothing really to gain from you to continue to struggle and burn out. Because what happens mentally, the imposter syndrome kicks in. And you're like, yo, this person is knocking out this, and that. But you're not seeing the quality of their work, really. Yeah, they can knock it out, but what's the quality looking like? Don't worry about that. Just focus on you. And yeah, you get there. Like this person's been doing this probably for so and so amount of years. Maybe you've been doing it for maybe 1 or 2 years. And you think you should be at that particular level already. It's like, no, because there was one particular company I was working for, and it's pretty interesting that they allow leads to point the stories based off of their experience and their knowledge of the platform. But when new developers come onto the project, those points don't apply to them. That or actually, these was within hours. So this is a consulting company. So they say, hey, this should be done within 8 hours. Hey, this should be done in 20 hours. And I'm like, all right, cool. That's probably based off of what you think is going to be done, but I'll try to finish it and within that particular time span. But as I get halfway through it and seeing how much work is actually needed for this, I'm gonna let you guys know that either I need assistance because there's no way this is gonna get done within 8 hours based off of 4 hours of work so far, and I'm gonna let you know. And that's how you should be like approaching things, because someone or one person who estimate within something, it might not be the same thing with you based off your skill level or knowledge of the platform or the application that you're building on. And you might be really relatively new on this, and there's really no documentation on how this should be done. So yeah, it shouldn't be based on that. It should be based off on who's working on it, and if it is way more than that person expects it, then it should probably be split up into multiple parts as possible. Or if you have the person who is knowledgeable about it and can do it within that particular time span, let them do it, because they can do it within that. Give someone something else that they can do with their knowledge and skill sets at that particular. Because what's going to happen over time is that their knowledge and skills going to continue to go up as they continue to come up on a project. And this is why a lot of people feel like they all right. I've been given the breakdown of the application. I've been given the breakdown of how everything works. I read, someone gave me the code dictionary and documentation, the data model, how things work. I should know this. boom, I should soak all the information in. No. um, no. Within less than a week. I've seen this happen before. The expectation of someone knowing something within a week of coming onto the project. Just know it. No. There's gonna be some handholding. It should be some handholding, and that person should also be asking questions that's newly on the project. It's like, yo, how does this work? I see these notes, but don't understand it. Be completely candid in the whole entire experience of learning. Because that's the reason why people get overwhelmed. They, they feel like they should be expected to know everything when they receive knowledge share of how things work and how the code works and the code base and all this stuff. Even though it might be super outdated and it hasn't been updated in a while, and there's new things that have been added to it, or there's been some refactoring, so much stuff. So don't get overwhelmed in those type of things. But yeah, um, yeah. So and I kind of also look at it like this. So like work-life balance and the illusion of work-life balance comes from thinking that sacrifice and trade-offs are absolutely non-existent. It's like you can you can work and you can have your life, and you can do both of those things at the same time. Like in a sense you can, but there's gonna be periods of time where you can work more and you don't have to do certain things. I'll just give you an example of my own life. It's like I have my kid who does cheerleading. She also does other awesome things such as fundraising. She's only 5, and she does a whole lot of events like yoga and all these different things in the city and city adjacent. So right after work, I'm essentially taking her to these things. Um, I can't work during that time while like being with her. That it doesn't make sense. So I try to be there, present in the moment of those particular life experiences and the things that she's experiencing through those life events. And I think that's going to be really important as she grows that I was there for her, for the things that she was interested in, the things that she wants to do. So, yeah. So, there's a sacrifice in regards to not being able to work when I can work um, when I want to. But there's also times when she's not doing those things and she's mostly at home. And so pretty much like her mom's like, working with her and those things are she's doing it for mom. And I'm able to work towards the night if I need to. Man, I really need to, but I want to. So I do those things and probably do it within like 2 days. But one of the things I do, I communicate with my wife, hey, looks like you're not doing this, and that. Can I do this for work for this amount of time and for this long? That communication is going to be really important. Speaking with your life partner, speaking with your spouse, your wife, or your partner and everything. So it's going to be really important to communicate with that, because what happens is that there might be resentment when you do things and you consistently do it for a very long time. And there's a feel of like, hey, when do I get a chance to do what I want to do? And so on. I can see that. It can be, I can see see that side. And so, I can be empathetic in regards to that and be able to feel her side of how she feels about that. Because I can definitely feel the same way. Yeah. So there's definitely sacrifice and trade-offs in regards to work life. And depending on where you are in your career, you might be doing a lot of sacrificing. You're not thinking about life type things, but you should also always consider your health and yourself first before work. So, like, if you don't have a family, you don't have kids or anything like that, it's like, yo, do what you need to do to learn. Do what you need to do to increase your skills. Because those things, when you're young, it's gonna just be paid dividends over and over time. But there's gonna be time where you can slow down, you can just live off of what you learn and sustain what you learn, stay up to date, and you can continue to push forward and be who you are as an expert. If you're focusing on certain things in your career and you're being more of a specialist rather than a generalist, you're not a jack of all trades with all those type of things. What was this like? You you this is another saying, but it's like you know a lot of skills but master none, something like that. One of the phrases for that. Yeah. But yeah, um, you know, if you can make that sacrifice, but make sure you reward yourself throughout that journey and know that, hey, you're doing this, here's your goals. Once you hit those goals, reward yourself. Like, I wish I would have told myself so many times to reward myself through my journey of learning and doing certain things and meeting those particular goals because I definitely probably was burned out and everything, but I continue to push through with things. Yeah, but when I do receive that rest, I see the big difference in how I perform. It's just day and night. I need that rest. I need to reward myself when I hit those things. So you should do that as well. When you're making these sacrifices, reward yourself when you hit those milestones and goals. Make them clear, specific, and not vague. So when you know you hit it, and you're not wasting no time. Immediately, you receive the reward. So yeah, I think one of the things too is like work-life balance. And what happens? I kind of discussed this a little bit, but it's like neglecting your personal life, like neglecting your self care, neglecting the hobbies that you love to do, neglecting your family and time and friends. I say, I say this. You definitely, like I said, take care of yourself. You should always take care of yourself first. Time with friends and families, that's is definitely a touch of issues, right? Because it depends on how things are worked out. It's like you should always make time for friends and family because those particular things help with like creating memories and experiences. It depends on also this, it's like how long you do it for, and because ultimately, if you want to be in a certain spot in your career, if you want to make things happen, and pretty much the opportunity is there, but it depends on like so many things. Like for example, it's like if I had like $1 million Swiss state or something like that, and like would I miss the $1 million Swiss state to go to my daughter's performance? Like dang, it's like $1 million that I can give to my daughter to help her out and further her life later on in life, or should I just go to her performance and say no to the $1 million? It depends on what $1 million means to you in that particular moment. It's like maybe you already have $1 million. It's like, well, I just miss out on that $1 million. I'll just go to my daughter's performance. Or maybe you just like really, 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 really not having that amount of money and you're down on your luck and you see that opportunity is there. You just got to go to it. But it's a one lifetime opportunity. You need to go at this particular time. It's like, hey, babe, or someone, I would pay you to record this particular recital. And I would hate to say that. I would hate to say that. I don't even think that would be that for me, even if it feels like the money is there. Like, I don't think I would want to miss something that awesome, especially if she did really well and she did all the work and effort in regards to it. It's like she poured her heart into this particular recital. Yeah, I wouldn't want to miss that for no amount of money. So yeah, and it's like, yeah, it's like, do you sacrifice that time to do that? Do you sacrifice your self care in order to meet the excessive work demands? I don't think so. I do not think so. Memories are way more precious. Experiences are way more precious than work. Yeah. Now this kind of goes into a little bit of like what really fulfills you in life. And for me, it's a multitude of things. Like I'm a guy who loves multiple colors. Like I'm a guy who has multiple hobbies. So it's like shoot, what really fulfills like my life. And it kind of goes into maybe one particular like thing that I can think of. It's like I love building stuff. It's like that could be really vague because it's like it could be physical stuff, or I like building memories, experiences. I just like building those things. I get the enjoyment of how people see these things that I build. And rather that's an app, rather that's some woodwork project, rather that is a place that I did a lot of research on based off of what the interests of the person I really love, and I show them this experience that I orchestrated for them. It's like I get the enjoyment of seeing their faces, of them enjoying that particular thing that I built for them. Or it could be building a lesson plan where I'm teaching someone or tutoring someone in a particular topic. It's like I'm helping someone build knowledge so that they can continue to progress within their life. And so they can pass on that skill to wherever they need to pass it on to further their life. I just love building things. So I get a lot of fulfillment from work because I get to build things for people and they get enjoyment of the things that I build. I get the enjoyment of building people up so that they can be the best that they can be on a project. It's like that's what fulfills me. Teaching. Teaching is building. Building. Mentorship is building. So much fulfillment from that. And when I'm not doing those things, I don't feel fulfilled. Or if I'm not intentionally of like doing something to build something with someone, then I'm not getting fulfilled. Rather that's work or life. So I typically don't try to do anything that doesn't really fulfill me. Yo, this is coming to a therapy session, to be honest. Yo, cause yeah, it's like this really found out something really intriguing. What really makes me tick when why I do the things I do now, and why I think the way I think, why I have the certain relationships I have in my life. So yeah, so yeah, so do the things I feel like fulfill you. If like work is not fulfilling, it, I don't think you should do that work. Find the best thing that you can possibly do to fulfill your life. Find the best thing that you're living in a particular life in your personal life. Make it where it is fulfilling. Whether that is taking out toxic people in your particular circle, and or getting going to another job that or leaving a job because it's not fulfilling, and it's like playing on your mental and all this other different stuff. It's like you don't have to stay at a job, regardless of what kind of economical stance or stage that we're in. That's how I think because I mean, a job is a job. Employer is an employer. They're looking out for their best interests, and you should also be looking out for your best interests as well. Just plain and simple. It's just the nature of the business. So yeah, never be afraid to leave a job if you're not feeling fulfilled. Never do the things, and never be ashamed of being fulfilled and doing something that you love. Never do that. So it's like it's like fulfillment is like the energy of your life. The more things that are unfulfilling you in life, the less energy you have. So always do the things that are fulfilling your life, that fills you up. So yeah, and then yeah, I could go over stress and burnout in regards to work life balance. Being you know burnouts. You got different aspects of burnout. You can be burned out mentally, you can be burned out spiritually, you can be burned out physically. so many different types of burnouts and stress. I mean, yeah, it's like you got to be able to handle your stress levels, and the best thing you can do to handle your stress levels and handle burnout is taking breaks. Use that PTO. Go to those therapy sessions. Go experience life. Do the things that fulfill you. And maybe you will never feel burned out, but maybe you will because, physically, I feel like you can definitely get burned out for the things that fulfill you. Because, like, for example, like if you love building, you just want to build something for like a tree house or something, right? That's ultimately what I want to build in life is a tree house. Um, it goes way back as a kid. It's like I wanted to build a tree house in my backyard, but it wasn't a really sturdy tree back there in the back of my house. It's like one of those Chinese plum trees. I was like, I climbed on the tree and everything, but can't do it. But it's just like, yeah, I want to build like tree houses 24/7. No sleep, no nothing. It's like that's awesome. Like that the building part fulfills me, but no sleeping, nah. I'm gonna get burned out physically. I'm gonna get exhausted. And yeah, you gotta take a break from the things that fulfill you too. So don't be ashamed to do that. Sometimes you gotta be in empty spaces. I believe for me, for myself personally, you gotta be in empty spaces, not being able to think about anything sometimes, and just let your mind wander and take those breaks. And at some point, you become center, then you can go back. Where breaks are so essential. Experiencing life is so essential, and burnout can be rectified if you take those breaks incrementally, like I said before, throughout the year, not a whole big one in the middle, in the beginning, and in the end. Excuse me, but multiple breaks throughout the year. Yeah, so essential. But that's pretty much all I really have. That's all I really have about this. I was supposed to be talking about code reviews, but this was like on my heart today, and I really want to discuss it. I really want to discuss this illusion sometimes and how I deal with it. Dealing with like work-life balance, and all comes down to prioritization, how you prioritize things, and also setting boundaries for yourself and for other people, and taking breaks. Taking breaks. So that's all I have for today. Thank you guys very much. It's gonna be the last office hours for a while, but if you want to stay up to date on like anything I'm doing, anything that I'm producing or adding to the channel, make sure you give it a like and also subscribe to the channel and click that bell notification so you can be updated on the latest and awesome videos that I produce on this channel. Because there's definitely going to be some awesome things coming up after I finish with this application. And I want to be able to share and continue to share advice and tips to you all and just my journey in general. So thank you guys very much. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.